this demo, I'll be showing step-by-step how to onboard a third-party Brownfield device. This demo will focus on a PowerEdge R650. Let's get started. To start off, I'll be using Ubuntu 22.04. This can be server or desktop version of Ubuntu. I'll then want to create my partitions, and you'll see me format the disk and wipe out any existing partitions. I'll then install at least 25 gigs of disk space for the boot partition. In this demo, I've set it to 80 gigs. The rest of the disk is unused and will be automatically partitioned during the Brownfield onboarding process. I'll create some user credentials and kick off the install. Once install is done, we'll switch over to the UI. Within the Dell Automation Platform portal, we'll want to first create a new client under Identity Management. This client is used for the Dell Automation Platform API calls. When creating the client, we'll want to set the role as Orchestrator Administrator and then click Generate. This will create a tenant ID, a client ID, and client secret that we'll save and use later in this demo. We'll then launch the orchestrator and check two things before we get started. First, you'll want to verify you have a Brownfield license, and then you'll want to make sure you upload the Brownfield kit from the Dell support site. Now that we have that out of the way, we'll go over to the hardware enablement kit and download a hardware discovery utility. I'll then copy this utility over to the Brownfield device and then switch over to the console. When I run the hardware discovery utility, it collects all sorts of information ranging from the device model, vendor, as well as detailed hardware information such as CPU, memory, and PCI cards. This is collected and stored as a JSON file in the temp directory. Since we have collected all of this information for this PowerEdge R650, we won't need to run this hardware discovery utility again for the rest of the R650s in my lab. In other words, for each unique model that I have in my lab, for example, a R260 or R760, I'll need to run the hardware execution bundle once for each of those models. With all of this information, I'm now able to create a Brownfield enablement kit. I'll give it a name and select a server device category. I'll then browse for my JSON, as well as adding the pictures from my icon, banner, and peripherals. Once this is created, I can then download the execution bundle and upload it to my Brownfield server. I'll then extract the archive, and this is where I'll want to run an API request to the Dell Automation Platform Orchestrator. As part of the Brownfield onboarding process, it uses an API call to onboard the device. In order to send an API request over, I'll need to get a token for all of our API calls. This command generates the token, which I'll pass over to the execution bundle. This process will then take a few minutes. It downloads all of the dependencies as well as installing the NativeEdge Brownfield agent. It will then automatically reboot and onboard the device. Let's now switch over to the UI, where we verify that our device is onboarded. We can see that you have all the various different tabs, such as the virtual machine, containers, metrics, networks, and hardware. Within the hardware tab, we can see the Brownfield process automatically created a data store for our virtual machines. Let's go ahead and create a virtual network and then quickly deploy a VM. I'll go over to my blueprints page, where I can view all of the different applications that are already available to deploy. I'll pick this Nginx demo VM and go ahead and deploy it to my Brownfield R650 device. I'll fill out the information in this wizard, review the summary, and then we'll review the deploy process in the logs. And there we have it. We've successfully deployed a Nginx VM to this Brownfield R650. This concludes this demo. We hope you found this useful. Check out other demo videos for the Dell Automation Platform.